You pay attention with so much at stake.
Seas are rising and chronic flooding will be the new normal.
You navigate, you listen, you keep an ear out. You pay attention, and so do we. We tell the stories of our time every day.
In the 26th day of testimony and on the 139th witness, Shahar Tsarnaev wept.
We unearth what would otherwise stay hidden.
There's just a lot of hate in this world, and that day, for that hour, we were humans.
Across the street.
The Red Sox have won the World Series.
And around the globe.
It's here and now.
This is modern love.
This is WBUR's All Things Considered.
This is only a game.
This is On Point.
This is Radio Boston.
On air, online, on demand, and on stage in the heart of Boston.
I'm Jack Lepiars. Welcome to WBUR City Space.
Always looking forward, paying attention, and knowing that your story is one of our stories.
Good morning. I'm Bob Oates.
I'm Lisa Mullins.
I'm Meghna Chakrabarty.
I'm Jeremy Hobson.
This is 90.9 WBUR Boston.
Howdy, folks. My name is Nicco Mele. I am the co-founder and the board chair of Mass Poetry, and it is a delight to be here on a Thursday evening to have some poetry in our lives. This event is co-sponsored by, of course, WBUR in this lovely, gorgeous space where I hope to have many more poetry readings. Woohoo! Our organization, masspoetry.org, 826 Boston, great organization. There are tables out there. And the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture. And part of the delight of having the Mayor's offices here is I am thrilled to be able to hear Boston's new poet laureate tonight read. Woohoo! Porsha Olayiwola. Thrilled to have her here. Also very excited to have Nick Flynn and his band here. Kildeers, thank you. As well as two other poets, Mitch and Legacy Thornton. And so, woohoo! So nobody ever really wants to hear from the MC. I'm just going to try and keep us moving and not make any bad dad jokes. Thankfully, I didn't bring my children with me. But I want to start by introducing our first poet, Legacy Thornton. Legacy, true, you're just 17. No? You're 19. Oh, awesome. My online research failed me. She is really quite exceptional. Very excited to hear her tonight. She advocates a broader understanding of mental illness, especially among youth. And she's published a lot of great poems, and I'm just going to turn it over to her.
Hey. Can y'all hear me good? Yeah? Okay. So I'm going to do two poems and then I'm going to sing for you guys. Okay. Just getting the Google Docs ready. You know how it is, right? Yeah. Okay, so this first one is called Origin Story. And I'm not going to do a prelude or whatever. Cool. I'm always trying to elevate and make progress. I'm trying to better my story, give my name its context. Y'all don't know me yet, but soon you'll see. This is history in the making, I'm making my own legacy. I'm a legend and this is my destiny. Ma was a model mother, not really a role model. I was a daddy's girl, so I relied more on my father to be there when Ma got out of hand. Soon I peeped he wasn't a man that could stick to plans. His evanescence left me stranded. I didn't understand that daddy had to pay for petty damage. Meanwhile, I was struggling too. Growing older in a colder house, everybody's trying to run shit. Me and Ma running hands, and stepdad stayed running his mouth. No, I'll switch to his spout. He and Ma went head to head like they're trying to win a bout. But it's alright because life goes on. Life goes on, life goes on, life goes on, life goes on. Couple years later, and it didn't get no better. Eden's cheap ass hates the heat, so we settle with sweaters. I swear it's just a different setting with the same situation. Because the new house is more house than home. But it's more home than hood. It's renovated with a nice view of the city. It's kind of bougie on the top of the hills where it's sitting pretty. Yet, if you stand still, look and listen closely, you'll find that inside Eden's garden is more thorn than flower. It's less sweet and more sour. At this point, the hood is more home to me. That's why I'd rather stay over with my aunties, because at least then I could be the rose that grew from concrete. But life goes on. Life goes on, life goes on, life goes on, life goes on. Yeah, life goes on, life goes on, life goes on, life goes on. Eden's been using his hands a lot, so Ma started us off on our feet. We made it back to Boston, and at this point, we're beat, but it's better than being with a buster. Even if we do gotta suck it up and succumb to shelters. 'Cause life goes on. Living situation wasn't all that great. That's why I like staying after school with my friends till late. It was an escape. But there's no escape in the future unless you can evade time. As time was passing me by, I got scared of what it would provide. So I joined the Marines. They offer stability to a wandering teen. I had a new team. Then I became its leader. Been warned of the dangers, but I wasn't gonna leave them. Then one day came, I guess I had to learn the hard way. I got raped before I got in the game. I got out, put pen to paper, and recorded my pain. My journey is not over, no dragon's been slain. I still got my demons, some come from Joey's grave. And my mom is still the same. Now Isaiah gotta deal with it. He's a 6-year-old with grievances. Yet and I stand and I say it's all good because life goes on, life goes on, life goes on, life goes on. Yeah, life goes on, life goes on, life goes on, life goes on. My poetry's popping and your girl can sing. I've opened for celebrities just waiting on my call to fame. Just waiting on that call to the stage so y'all can hear what I'm about. Getting that clout so y'all can actually listen when I spout about real shit. There's too many topics to cover. Similar to the ABCs, we got problems from C to T. For rappers to just be focused on popping pillies and rocking millies. Motherfuckers, this is Gen Z. Let's get a new wave going. My name is Legacy, and with me, we can start with something. Let's go. Thanks. Okay, so yeah, that was the first one. And this next one, I'm not gonna really introduce it crazy either, but just know that it's called Bad Seeds. Okay. Bad seeds have been planted in my family tree. I'm not talking about the deadbeats. Dad. Bad seeds have been planted by my family tree. I'm talking about the toxic behaviors that have been repeated to the point of condition. The abuse that has recurred so often it reached the point of normalcy. That has surpassed that and peaked at projection. My favorite thing about bad seeds is the irony. Is watching my grandma get angry at my mother's character in all its rigid glory, as if it wasn't roughed up by her hands. My mother is known for her short temper, exaggerated responses, and intolerance. Symptoms for how she's dealt with her pain. I've never realized that until recently. Because I've been coming down with the same sickness, I have seen these same symptoms tear up my closest relationships. And that's when I realized that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. See, me and my mother have a lot in common. Besides our looks, we are both strong Black women. Period. We are angry Black women. Women that have been through too much to have had enough. We are hardened women because you need a tough shell to be able to repel, and we got tired of absorbing shit. She got tired of absorbing shit. So instead, she lashes out. Been doing this for a while. Yet, Unlike my mother, I refuse to take what has been passed down. So while this apple may not fall far from the tree, I'll be damned if I see history repeat itself with my seeds. Therapy. Therapy, 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 therapy. That's where I'm going. That's what I'm doing. How will you break free from your family's problematic history? All right, so this next one's a song, like I said earlier, and I might do a little prelude. So this one's called Snakes, right? Because, you know, bitches be snakes. So there's that. I tried on you bitch's skin, didn't love who I was within. I could see me becoming you. I shedded the carcass, accidentally evolving. Always end up a step ahead of you. See, you can slither your way to the top with that attitude. You try to use me as a step stool, but I ain't playing with you. You playing a joker's game, but I ain't nobody's fool. So stop snaking around me. I ain't a part of your party. I know that misery loves company, and you're the company you keep. So stop snaking around me. I ain't a part of your party. I know that misery loves company, and you're the company you keep. Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, that's me.
Legacy, folks. That was amazing, Legacy. That was really, you know, you have a wisdom I was sitting there thinking, therapy, family history, you're just astonishing. Talent too big for this room. And you can also see why she and her team won the Louder Than a Bomb Grand Slam, right? Next up is Mitch Manning. He has a new book of poems you can buy right out there, City of Water. I'd encourage you to do so. He is teaches at UMass Boston, and he's the associate director of the Joyner Institute for the Study of War and Social Consequences, which may have something to do why he was part of the Boston to Basra project, where he read poems in Basra, Iraq. All right, sir, here you go.
Sadly, I didn't go to Iraq. You need to get a security detail that costs $3,000 a day. So they told me. It was a project with the 4 Point Theater, who have run a project called the Tamzik Project that sought to do exchanges between Iraqi and American artists. And it's still continuing now in a project called Her Story Is. It's women artists in the US and Iraq doing exchanges, and they're doing a lot of it down at in Dubai because it's a safer place to meet right now. But I had all these high school kids that were reading my poems in Basra, and they were doing it in their language class, and I got to watch videos of it. It was a trip. Thanks, y'all, for coming tonight, for being here. Thanks to Portia and Legacy for reading tonight. Badass. And, it's an honor to read with Nick Flynn, because Nick is a poet who, for me, when I was a wannabe writer running around downtown, and I ran into that book, Suck City, and I said, wow, this is like the first Massachusetts working class writer I've ever read. And here's somebody that's facing, addiction and homelessness very clearly on the page, and, really offered what poetry can do to transform this world that we live in. And it was an inspiration to me, so appreciate that. And shout out to my mom who's here tonight. I wrote a book called City of Water. I wrote the whole book on the bus coming from Chelsea to Haymarket on the 111, sitting there on traffic on Route 1. And this first poem is called Bare Life, and it's after this Italian writer. He has this idea that there was this word in Latin and in ancient Rome, a soldier who committed a crime could be stripped of citizenship, and they would live in their own country, stateless. The poem's called Bare Life. It's after Fanny Howe. I open myself to surveillance, like St. Francis standing at the wood line without clothes. The villagers embarrassed for the marks and scars they gave him. At the edge of the meadow, a procession of robed and wreath, barefoot mendicants, hair of laurels, a single tambourine, voices above branchless trees, fecund hope grown in northeastern gardens. Uninterrupted bird song, a prayer wall for lost causes. Someone scrawled a name so small we thought it an accident. Did prayer stop the wall, the killing, the heart from falling through the floor? I tie myself to something at the bus stop so I don't sink through the street into the river. My heart beats, unsure of its own path forward, a wire errantly crossed. To save or be saved on the 751. Tomorrow, the sun will disappear and the light through the window will be flat and empty, depthless. I stand in silence, unsure where living or lying begins or ends. Which persona will I wear today? Whose clothes will I put on? This energy of bells ringing across the eaves and gutters asks, who is our warlord of night? When will we go to battle? Courts are instruments of imbalance. Who has trust in a system that defies them? Survival isn't happiness. Bare life is enough, say adjudicators of the state. All is fair beneath wig and robe, unless you're naked and your head is shorn. Thanks, y'all. It's one of those things, like I'm reading this book a lot, and like you start reading these poems, and they start to live inside you in a really weird way. So that poem's been living in me. This poem is, I've never read it before, out loud. It's called Nightline, and it's after the film Who Killed Fred Hampton? And Fred Hampton was killed by the police 50 years ago, 1969, in Chicago in December. And you should watch the movie and, have respect for Fred. He died at 21. He was shot in bed by the police when he was sleeping with his partner. This poem's called Nightline for Fred Hampton. It will etch itself into the photograph. The men seeing the ocean for the first time, the beach grass, incandescent sun somewhere above, the continuous, precise rolling of film and waves. The Panthers at the podium, waiting for crescendo. Thunder is deepening at the horizon, gathering together its many voices. There is the rhetoric of certainty and the poetics of change, unceasing, questioning. I'm bobbing out here, following the long arm of the dial through the windshield. I've cast off, no structure of my own to return to. Read the elegies, Fanny says. Follow the impulse, Melissa says. Regurgitate, coagulate is all I can do. Try and stop the endless whirring of machine sounds. They've come to nest in my attic, the sirens of their calls, a ceaseless storm that's only finished when it's run through me, come up through the throat, enunciated, gargled out. I'm calling, but I don't have a band to listen. The cantata is building, the machines clattering. I'm alone in a room with a giant radio, collaborating with Maxwell's demon, hesitating and dreaming, slipping between things, spaces. I received a message from a different source. We'd never spoken, and now I know how we're aging, in front of the windows, our angular eyelids, the raven's feet that grow like cracked glass. Certitude is lying in its own blood in the apartment, shirtless. The smell and sound of munitions. The fucking cops. 13 of them. Dark muses of someone else's mind. You cannot kill Fred, even if he's dead. Sheep are skinned for wool boots, but the 21-year-old revolutionaries are cosmic now. Constellations across the Chicago night. When December turns its dark gaze towards solstice, we hear the sirens and remember the raids, armaments of liberation, the people, the people, the power, the people. And this last one is another film. I like to go to the movies and just write poems, so if you don't know how to write poetry, just go to the movies. The surrealists said that the movies were the thing they were always looking for because they were like, oh, this is it, the film. This one's about Ornette Coleman. It's called Ornette and Marquis, and it's after Emile Alcali, who's a Boston Gloucester poet, lives in New York, and Shirley Clark. Security cameras, street lights, iridescent fractals of yellow, wavering at dusk. Metropolis train to the city, in the dark with stolen pens from the bank. Caravan of the moon, skies of America, a triangle and a circle and a square. The house my father was born in. Jazz haptic, spontaneous units, 4 violins in a geodesic dome. Desert, earthscape, the mad poet living on the couch. But do we have imagination? The link, the satellite between Lower Manhattan and Harlem? 2 sources of language, the train and the symphony. Here was the music, frightening in its implication, an endless cycle. No such thing as up and down, only out. We already in outer space.
Thank you, Mitch. And as I mentioned, his book is available outside. Please support your local poet. Portia is from the future and is our poet laureate of this fine city. She's also the individual World Poetry Slam champion and the artistic director for Mass Leap, which if you don't know is awesome. And she has a new book of poems coming in the near future. Yes. I shimmer sometimes too, which is very fun to say. Portia, please.
Good evening, everyone. How are you all? Thank you for screaming. That's a nice response. All right, I'm gonna read a few poems if that's okay. But you all knew that already. Okay, I'm gonna get right into the weird stuff, if that's all right. So as mentioned, I've got a book coming out in the fall, and there's a couple of series in it. So I'm gonna do some poems from some series. And the first one is a found poem. So there's a series of found poems. And this one is called After James Brown. Say it. Say it. Say it loud. Say black. Say it. Say it loud. Say I'm black. and I'm proud. Say it, sang it, sang it, say it proud, say it loud, say it black. Black, look at here. It say black. Say it black. Say I black, it black. I black, it black. I black. All right, now say it. Say it, sang it. Say it proud. Say it loud, say it black. Black it proud. Black it loud. Say it loud, I'm black. It black. I'm black. It black. It loud. Good God, it loud. Say it loud and black. Say it loud and it black. Say I'm black and I'm loud. Good God. Say it back. Say it black. Black. Say it proud. Black. Say it proud. Black. Proud. Black. Black. Say it loud. Black. Say it black. Say it back. Look at here. Say it. Sang it. Sang it. Say I'm black. I'm loud. Say it. Good God. Say it. Sang it. Lord of Lord. Straight into the weird stuff. That's fun. I've also been working on a series of dance poems. I don't really dance, but I write poems about dancing. That's incredibly harder to write poems about dancing than it is to actually dance, but you know, some of us, we choose our things. This one is written in the form of the villanelle. People know the villanelle. It's traditionally Italian country song, and there's like repeating rhymes, right? Boom, that's it. And this one is an ode to twerking. People know twerking? Yeah. Okay, you see the country song, you know, the country, no. And it's an ode to my partner. She's always dancing. And so it's about her. And it's called Twerk Villanelle for Valentine. My girl positioned for a twerk session. Knees bent, hands below the thigh, tongue out, head turned to look at her body's procession. She in tune. Breath in, breasts hang, hips freshen, she slow wine. Post waistline to a beat bled for her, ungilt the knees for the session, fair saint of vertebrae, backbone blessing, her pop in innate, her pop out self-bred, head locked into her holied procession. Dance is proof she loves herself, no questions. No music required, no crowd needed. She arched into a gateway protecting this dance. Is proof she loves me. No guessing. A Bronx bedroom we hip to hip threaded. She turned to me, trans by her possessing. She coils herself to, calls forth a legend, round-bodied booty, bounce a praise ballad. She break code, turn whole in a twerk session, body charmed, spell bent toward progressing. Yeah. That was such a mouthful. I told my partner I was reading with Nick Flynn, and she got more excited about that than the poem. Seriously, she's a writer, you know, and she got more excited. I was like, okay, I see how this is, you know. But yeah, no, I'm incredibly honored to be here. I was getting memories as Mitch was up here talking. Also, love to Legacy and Mitch. I feel so honored. Thank you all. But as Mitch was talking, I thought about the first time. I also got the bullshit night in Suck City. The reason I moved to Boston, I was volunteering. I was doing AmeriCorps, and I was stationed at Pine Street Inn, which, if folks are familiar, it's a homeless shelter in the South End. And I was there for a year. And I had just moved. I didn't have any friends. I didn't have any money because I was volunteering. And I would just hang out at Pine Street Inn and then go write poems in the nighttime. That's just all I did. And then that was the first book that anybody ever gave me. I was like, oh, I need something to read. You should read this. Boom. And it was like perfect and on time. So yeah, it's funny how things come full circle. And like, you know, what it even means, you know, to have, you know, the start of this particular book tour be in this city and the first stop of it, right? And also like for an outsider to come into the city and be handed that, you know. So that's all really exciting. And I'll stop chatting. I'm gonna do 2-ish more poems and then I'll get out of here. 2-ish. Ish. It's the ish. The more exists than the ish. No. This one is also in that book that's coming out. And it's contrapuntal, which means I'll read it 3 ways. So one, I can't remember if it has 3 different titles. You know what? It does. Okay. 1, I wish to eat. I want to gobble up my sweetie pie, a divine ass plated. I salivate. I want to lick her legs, thighs, and sweet breasts cantalouping. Secretion, seed, skin swallowed all. She is clean and devoured. I banquet dine the bedroom. I burst the seams of her throat. I glutton lust my sugar plum. Keep the bone, slim relic. Heave into her arms. Satiate my sap tooth all over the satin sheets. 2, I wish to eat what my partner does not. My girlfriend, cautious lover of food, sees me lie stuffed full from meat, oiled in my mouth, bulging gut for her to feast upon. I am splayed and uneaten. Lard meal, we purge the night away. She can't fit me inside, stomach wretch at the sight. Cake pop waste the flesh, for the love of feeling famished. Probe me with the fork, spew the fatting darling all over the satin sheets. 3, and across. I wish to eat what my partner does not, and this is how we love. I want to gobble up my girlfriend, cautious lover, my sweetie pie, a divine ass of food, sees me lie plated. I salivate, stuffed full from meat. I want to lick her legs, oiled in my mouth, bulging gut, thighs, and sweet breasts cantalouping for her to feast upon. Secretion, seed, skin swallowed all. I am splayed and uneaten. She is clean and devoured. Lard meal, we purge the night. I banquet dine the bedroom. I burst away. She can't fit me inside the seams of her throat. Stomach wretch at the sight. I glutton lust my sugar plum. Cake pop waste the flesh. Keep the bones, slim relic, for the love of feeling famished. Heave into her arms. Probe me with the fork. Satiate my sap tooth. Spew the fattened darling all over the satin sheets. And this is my last poem, and then I'm going to get out of here. Congratulations to Nick and Mitch with your new books. Congratulations, Legacy. I learned a lot of new things, and one, you have a beautiful voice, and you're a songwriter. Yeah, so this is the last one. It's a part of the series. I am from the future. You know, I exist as an Afrofuturist, and I've been playing a lot with magical realism, sci-fi. And so there's a series of reimagining Disney fairy tales. And so this is about that. The title is a haiku. It's called Tangled, AKA Rapunzel, AKA long hair, don't care, and what? So I'm standing in the checkout line at the grocery store. Been standing, waiting patiently. I mean, at least I'm looking busted. My hair is laid and I got these freshies on my feet. So at the minimum, if I'm out here for this long, at least I give the people something kind to look at. My sisters say, don't matter if the lights are cut off at the crib, or if uncle takes over your bed and you don't have a place to sleep, stay dressed to impress. In other words, stay fly. Say, you never know who you're going to see out here in these streets, and I'm thinking I might see the whole city, because for some reason, unknown to me, they only got one register open tonight. I bust open my flaming hots to curb my hunger. I'm too pressed to get back to the high-rise at Cabrini. Anyway, it's my turn, and I start loading my groceries onto the moving conveyor belt at the counter. I see the cashier scanning, all frantic and stuff, and then he takes the time to look up at me, you know, like I'm a person or whatever. He says, wow, I really love your hair. It's beautiful, and I think about time. Because I knew I was looking like a bag of money, about time. Somebody noticed all this fine. About time I get ready to say thank you. This freckle-faced redhead says, if you don't mind me asking, is it yours? Is it weave? Can I touch it? And then this dude is no longer touching my groceries, but he's got his paled, crusty sword fingers in my hair, and I don't say anything, which is crazy because I'm known to cut a chick quick for just looking at me too long in the projects. But here, I feel stiff, like a brick high-rise building or a redwood coffin, like the black dress they bury my mother in, like my brother. And all I could think about is death. I mean, I could feel his fingers in my hair, but I think I'm dead. And I wonder if I ever belong to me anyway. I wonder if I'm a beautiful thing meant for the world to make theirs. I think about how I gave myself something kind to look at in this ugly world. Now he gonna go and touch it and make it his too. I think I must not belong to me. I'm his too. He touched the whole world. And it's his too. I wish I was kin to Medusa right now. Wish my hair could grow heads and bite his fingers bloody and he would jerk back his hands. I wish my hair could morph into switchblades, machetes, or knives. I wish each strand was a rope so I could hang each of his fingers to death, levitate his hands from my scalp. Don't he know my scalp? It's holy ground, my hair. It's black magic. I think I put a spell on you, boy. I scream to no one as I hand him the money. Thank you all so much. Thank you.
Wow! Oh my goodness. You're screwed, Nick. You got to follow that. That was just amazing. Those three poets, that is some real exceptional talent here tonight. So as we're getting situated here, I'm going to give a little bit of a prolonged introduction of... They're ready. Okay, then I'll make it a shorter introduction. I was prepared to talk here. Nick probably doesn't remember this. Last time I met him was 11 years ago when I introduced him on a stage at the very first Massachusetts Poetry Festival, 2008 in Lowell, Massachusetts, in a, I have to say, much smaller, hotter, dingier room than this. We've really moved up in the world. And he was reading from his new book of poems, Blind Huber, which is just like, it couldn't be more different from Portia's poems, but like Portia's, a truly original art that is both tradition and individual talent. And Blind Huber is about a 18th century beekeeper. I think that's right? 17th century beekeeper. Francois Huber, and the poems are from the perspective, he was a blind beekeeper, and the poems are from his perspective and his assistant's perspective and the bees, if memory serves. And I just was like, this is wild, I love this. And then I went and read his memoirs. Everyone talked about Another Bullshit Night in Suck City, which was just an incredible book. But I read The Ticking is the Bomb when my wife was pregnant with our first child, and I really couldn't breathe. And reading that book, I completely inhabited the same space, because it's a book about, I'm bringing a child into the world, into this. And The Ticking and the Bomb, yes, The Ticking is the Bomb. It was really profound for me. And then I just read last week his latest memoir, which The Reenactment, which is about watching his life, his memoir, be reenacted in the shooting of the film, Being Flynn. And it was quite a tour de force, an incredible writer. I love his poems. I love his memoirs. And tonight we're going to hear not only from his new book, I Will Destroy You, but Nick has a history of a new book of poems, which is also available for purchase. Nick has a history collaborating with musicians. And I'm very curious to hear and see, looking forward to his collaboration tonight with the band Kildeer. Thank you. Let's give them a big welcome.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to just be alone for a minute on stage without the band and read a poem first. But, you know, Portia and Legacy and Mitch, that was so beautiful. I'm really honored to be on the stage with you guys. Could you put the image up in the back there? Thanks. So this is basically a still from the shooting of the cover of the book. There's a little fairy girl dancing with a giant bat person. It's a photo shoot from my friends Khan Selesnik, this collaborative team of photographers that create these sort of fantasy worlds. And there's a film that made by someone named David Sater that we'll probably play at a certain point. So Legacy, Portia's last poem inspired me. She read her version of a fairy tale, and this book was written. I Will Destroy You was written. It sort of began, you know, as Nicco was saying, when my daughter was born. This is my daughter actually here. She's the fairy girl. When she was about 6 or 7, I was reading her a lot of fairy tales. And the book sort of came out of that. It sort of became sort of this fairy tale with a suitably troubling title, I Will Destroy You. So I'll start with this one, and then I'll call the band out one by one. Sleeping Beauty. When Sleeping Beauty finds the spindle and pricks her finger and falls into her 100-year sleep, everyone around her falls as well. Her handmaids, her grooms, the cooks. Dogs collapse in the courtyard. Horses fold in themselves in the hay. I'd forgotten all that. Even the fire returns to embers, fire's version of sleep. In some tellings, all this sleep is a blessing, a solution to grief. No one will miss her because they will sleep as long as she sleeps, and they will wake when she wakes, no one having felt a thing. Is this what we want? To take everyone with us, to leave no one behind? To find a way not to feel all the days you are not here? Some days I wish I could sleep for 100 years. Other days I wonder if I've ever really been awake. In one version, the curse is uttered by a crone, in another, by a fairy. The castle in both versions, and as everyone falls and almost at once becomes overgrown, wild roses thick with thorns surround its walls, so thick they will tear the flesh of anyone who dares come close. When I tell you I am a wounded animal, this is what I mean. I am the thorn, and I am the spindle, and I am the curse. No one will remember the years they felt nothing. So I'd like to call Guy Barash up to the stage. All these poems they were begun, 5 years ago or so. My daughter was about 6. But they've been revised over the last 3 or 4 years with this band Kildeer, which I'm very fortunate. So it's it's a whole new process for me to write poems with a band. It's really fun. It's Guy Barash. Stranger, uninvited, you come up to us on the sidewalk, my daughter's hand in mine. You look at her and coo, it goes so fast. What, stranger, is this unnamed it. This day, her life, our happiness. Stranger, maybe you missed it, but just now, my daughter and I hurled rocks into the emptiness, and we created more emptiness. You know how a Kildeer pretends to have a broken wing to lure predators away from its nest? How it staggers just out of reach? If at this moment you're feeling metaphorical, nest can be the whatever inside us that we think needs protection, the whatever that is small and hasn't yet found its way. Like us, it has lived so long on scraps, on what others have left behind. It thinks it could live on air, on words, forever almost. It thinks it would be better to let the predator kill it than to turn its back on that child again, forgetting that one lives inside the other. Here's the deal. If you die, then I will be able to drink again, and no one alive will even blame me. This child is the dark wind inside, but not the darkest. Then I think I'll have another child, a backup, in another city, with another woman, just in case. Then I think I'll call this poem to be whispered by the bedside of a sleeping child. So when you're older, you'll understand. Then I think this isn't even a poem. Only in Boston would that get laughs. Thanks for being here, everybody, by the way, in this beautiful space. And thanks to WBUR. It's so cool. This is so nice. It's like you guys just invented this whole space. I'd like to invite the rest of the band up. Simi Stone, Philip Marshall, hi, Simi. Hey. Life is sweet. For the next few years, we might need to live in some kind of aquarium, something semi-transparent and lit by those blue lights. Maybe some of those unnatural pink rocks along the bottom. but I can't see us contained in an aquarium unless it were, you know, the size of an ocean. Still, I worry sometimes how everything can be contained, turned into a poem or a movie, something that can be walked out on. Even life is sweet. By the end, we fell in love with everyone. By the end, the straight sister tells the suffering sister, I hear you, you know, at night. And we knew how much it meant just to be heard. And then it was over. An uneaten cookie on the couch between us. I don't know what else we thought might be there. Maybe just that we'd be alive and still, you know, moving around inside this world.
Thank you. The radio claims the secret is simple. Is to always want to know what comes next, and to let that want pull you back from the ledge again and again. I have a friend who, the years he was drinking, would every night stack all the furniture in his living room in front of his sliding glass door, which led out to his 5th floor balcony. He knew that once he'd had his first drink, not right away, but eventually, soon, he'd black out, and he worried he'd try to fly again. Couch, table, chair, bookcase. For years he dragged his furniture every night as the sun went away.
And in the morning, he put it all back in place, never considering, not once, that maybe he should stop. The one promise I can make is that I'm staying, even though what knocks on our door at night has at its heart only by getting lost, even though some part of it wants me dead, which is why I feed it with a stick. You've already met it, but it didn't show you all its teeth. It knew it had to lull you in. It knew you were skittery. It let you feed it by hand. It let you put a finger in its mouth, into its good mouth. It didn't bite down, not hard, not then, not yet. Could you start the film? If I speak for the dead, I must leave. You opened my mouth and filled it with stones. For days, then weeks, then years, we swam until we couldn't. Like horses, our bodies. Little noises. Now this. Now this.
Now this. Now this. Now this.
Until it didn't make any sense.
This doesn't make any sense.
Did we really believe that if we could just return to the source and fully, we might then be able to sink back into it? I woke up in a boat once. I couldn't remember. I opened my mouth and then, little snake, you were gone. I didn't know you might not come back. Once I could say I'd never kissed anyone who is now dead. Once that was true. As if my lips were a cure. As if death wasn't the only reason we got into that boat. It held us for as long as it did. That's all we can say. until it didn't. I've tried to dream this lake into existence for years, and here it is. Ta-da! Illuminated briefly beneath our flare. You show me the birds that live underground. Oil birds, you call them. If you don't know how to walk, you'll break them. Your palm finds my scar. I hear the lake. Press harder, I say, till I don't know if my shoulders are the birds, or if my chest is their burrow, or if your hand put them there. But at some point, my body is not empty and wants things poured over and down its throat. What if it never was about finding our way back, but simply about our eyes becoming accustomed to this black water? Here's the thing. When I woke up, you were gone. It's okay, everyone's gone eventually. But when I tried to put my own hand on my chest, when I tried not to break anything, I was a ghost, touching a ghost. And the thing is, I didn't know I was a ghost until your hand found me. And now, there's nowhere to go. Now, whatever those birds are will simply what? Return to where they've been hiding?
So lovely to be here.
It really is, yeah.
Yeah. It's been
Thanks, everybody.
An amazing night of words and...
It's in 3 parts, by the way.
We walk up and out Metropolitan Avenue. The sun splits the sky, puts a tear in my eye, and I turn and I know you are my friend. You are. You are my friend.
St. Augustine preached humility and the need to simply be in the ground. Do you wish to rise, he asked. What would he say of these words then, which, after all, are meant to replace us? What would he say of the way I go back again and again to the burning house, the house we've already escaped? These words so quick, the way they rise up like sparks or smoke. A person could get lost in the sky watching them. A person could lose track of the important things. Spot quiz. What's the opposite of standing before a house on fire, trying to understand the flames, and knowing you will never understand? I want to enter into that moment. My mother strikes her first match, but I'm asleep upstairs. In the dream, I'm walking through the marsh because only there, surrounded by water, am I safe. Are your hands the water? Are these words the flame? The reeds are taller than I am. The mud slows everything down. In some ways, I cannot imagine seeing you again, but here I am, kneeling as in prayer at your bedside, counting our breaths. Stop me from taking your hand then and placing it on my chest. Oh Lord, help me be pure, but not yet. Even as I write each word, I am farther from God. Sometimes I just can't find it. If only I could have the faith I hear coming from the radio, the way it always knows I'm listening. One day these years will be known as the space between silence and enough. I still have trouble being alone in either, which is why the radio is always on. Do you wish to rise, Augustine asks? Begin by descending. First night without you, my wings fold back in themselves. All those birds inside were released by your hands. Now I trace my fingers along my collarbone, trying to find where they live. Keep touching my scar. It feels like swallowing night, like flyers for a lost boy. But if it's true, our bodies are not our own, but only become manifest when activated by another's touch. What if the thing activated is outlined roughly by the word body?
morning, my daughter stood before me naked and said her body was not her own. She's been sick for 2 days. Smiling, she seemed to like it, the feeling, that floating above. I worry it's a setup, a manifestation of the addict I've passed on through the blood, my talent for slipping into the bigger thing, a craving for it. Oh, to live without thoughts, no rats in our shoulders, only birds, and the willingness to let someone inside. What if these things we call our bodies are not singular or contained? What if they finally become irrelevant? After so much time trying to be grounded, to land on this earth, so strange to imagine we might simply pass by ourselves for a moment, en route to somewhere else. What's on the other side? A nap? A parade? It works. Matchbox sparks, lightning bugs. I'm completely inside that boy who feels like he's inside me. And this, I want to know everything about the parade. Confessional. I admit you haven't heard from me in a while. In me, there's a little liar and a little thief and a little whore. Forgive me. While writing these words, I was lost in a trance. The sky, wild blue, fruit trees jeweled with ice. If not for what I'd promised, I wouldn't be here at all. You were with me when I found that box in the basement. Opening it was like entering a room and having, at last, someone else breathe for me. No one, as you know, sets out to lose their mind. This poem began as a secret. Not from you, I didn't know you then. Now, it wears its shame like a halo. Please, take it, rip it up, put it in your glass. We can watch it dissolve.
This is our last poem. This poem's called Icarus. And the song, this is the first song that we did as a band together. The song's called 240 Red, White, and Blue, and it was written by Philip and Simi on the day that Alton Sterling was shot by the police down in Baton Rouge. Legacy, we want to come up or no? No? Okay.
It's very unusual to be in Boston and be sober. I have to say that. Spent 20 years drunk here.
I was drunk when I lived here too.
This is like a blanket apology to the whole city. Man, we had fun. Sitting on the keg sound Foley's.
Made a living on the corner. Make a living honest and true. Scratching cards from a roll of quarters. 240 red, white, and blue. 240 red, white, and blue.
Icarus, our fallen and risen sun, remember, night is not toothless, not a little bird that sings pretty for baby, not a bird that whispers cry, cry. It's a bog, invisible and loud and everywhere at once. You can number the days the sun won't consent to appear, and the days you can't know what to feel. By burning coal, a dandelion falling out of your mouth. How do you get your flowers to grow in such poor soil?
In the parking lot, I
pray for me, I pray for you.
raised your hands and asked for more.
I prayed for me, I prayed for you.
With the gravel in our shoes.
I prayed for me, I prayed for you.
240 red, white, and blue. 240 red, white, and blue.
Down below, a man pounds a pole into a field, into a hole already dug, a hole just wide enough to slip a tongue into. What I wanted, I didn't ask for. What I needed, I couldn't take. His eyes closing, his ear pressed to the earth, forgetting the threat falling from above. Midnight bird song, a ladder unfurling the sky. How many will die before their bodies begin to burn in the night? And how many will you then fit onto the big wheel? If this were the ocean, our boat would be sinking, falling apart like sugar in our tea. But this is nowhere near the ocean.
Stumbled in to your broken fable. The golden lines were drawn. Stumbled in, but are you able to love me with those broken arms? Love me with those broken arms.
The marks in his body spell something. Now rupture, our rapture. A sentence we will spend the rest of our lives translating. It's either I am more alive than the absence of light, or I feel that itch, the need to break free. He keeps treading water even though the ledge is right there, right at his fingertips. Sometimes you pass a pile of feathers in a field and instinctively look up to the sky. It must be sacrilege to beg like this, to dig the hole into which we can finally disappear.
In the parking lot I swore,
Pray for me, I'll pray for you.
you raised your hands and asked for more.
I prayed for me, I'll pray for you.
With the gravel in our shoes,
I'll pray for me, I'll pray for you.
240 red, white and blue. 240 red, white and blue. The sun is high, the sky is gray.
Sundown, Independence Day.
I'll pray for me and I'll pray for you.
240 red, white and blue. 240 red, white and blue. 240 red, white and blue.
Philip Marshall, Guy Barash, Simi Stone.
Nick
Thank
Flynn.
you. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for
Thank you,
bringing
everybody.
us along.
There's one quick song for Daniel Johnston, who just died today.
Love will find you in the end.
Everybody knows Daniel Johnston.
Don't be sad, I know you will. Don't give up. Everybody. True love will find you in the end.
True love will find you in the end. True love will find you in the end. True love will find you in the end.
Don't be sad, I know. Got it? Nearly. But don't give up.
Never give up.
True love will find you in the end.
Oh, true love will find you in the end.
True love will find you in the end.
True love will find you in the end.
You could do it.
Thank
Daniel,
you.
we miss you.
Ashanti.
I will destroy you. Just one last comment before we go outside to buy books and eat food. I only had one job today, and I screwed it up, which was to introduce people. So I screwed up my first introduction of Legacy, and I just wanted to do it again and then invite all the poets back on stage for a round of applause. So Legacy Thornton is a Boston-bred writer, poet, social justice activist, and a natural hair enthusiast. Recently, she and her team won Louder Than a Bomb's Grand Slam Championship. She cites influences including Denise Smith, Lauryn Hill, and Ndidi Okorafor. Currently, she majors in English composition at Bunker Hill Community College. Outside of school, she coaches 826 Boston's award-winning slam poetry team. In her spare time, Thornton sings and writes songs, which we certainly heard tonight. Miss Thornton attended John D. O'Brien High School and resides in Dorchester. She organizes because she's a strong advocate for safe spaces for minorities. She believes that everyone deserves to be seen, heard, and welcomed. And I want to welcome them all to the stage for a last round of applause. Come on, everybody. Come on. Oh, hey, there we go. Thanks again to our poets. Thank you all. Don't forget to buy some books.
The basic functioning of our entire world. Up next on Point, celebrating the maintainers.